It's decision time. Hello and warm welcome here from Misano. We're in Italy and it's the final episode of the FIA European Truck Racing Championship. Who will be the best driver of Europe? We will see that in this weekend. We've got a qualifying and 2 races each day going on, and we're so excited to be here finally. Norbert Kish is the leader of the pack currently, followed by Sasha Lenz and Adam Latchko, and of course the rest of the pack trying to find their best position possible. And of course, who will win the Goodyear Cup? A battle of two we've got there at the top, Shane Brayton or Theo Calvé. And what is a funny thing is that both top favorites for the titles are leading with 228 points. What that number means, I don't have a clue. But I'm very glad to welcome Chaz Draycourt here. He's been our commentator during this season, alongside, of course, with Jack Werrell, Joachim Eberts also. So we're finally here at the track. How excited are you?
Oh, very excited. I've been absolutely loving it this weekend. It's great to finally be at one of these events in person, and what a fantastic circuit to do it at as well. Misano is such a difficult circuit for these guys to get right. There's a lot of start-stop sections around the back. There's a very, very quick section as well. Norbert Kish doesn't need to do a lot this weekend to clinch the championship, but still everybody is going to be working hard to make sure they can fight with him.
Yeah, as we went through the paddock, we saw everyone was really so excited, but also very focused and concentrating on their jobs to do. Huge thanks to all the mechanics during the great effort, not during also this weekend, but during the whole season. And as you mentioned, that the track is very difficult. We saw Jamie Anderson in the gravel ahead of the free practice number 2. So this has been a quite tricky situation. Did you see anything of that?
Yeah, he said that there was something wrong with the front left of the truck potentially, maybe a breakage, just something had gone wrong, and he went straight on at turn 10. It was a long, tight left-hander, and he just went straight off into the gravel. It's almost like the truck just something instantly broke and it just went away from him. But this circuit is rather narrow for these trucks, but at the same time it's mainly a motorcycling circuit. So a lot of the time when it does get rubbered in, as we say, it's only a very thin line with the bikes. They don't have much of a contact patch with the road. So I was speaking to Theo Calvé very briefly last night. He said it's his first time racing here in the trucks, and it's going to be very difficult because the surface is very smooth and very slippery. So I think especially down to some of the hard braking zones we've got at turn 1, at turn 10, at the end of the lap as well, it's going to be very difficult. It's going to be tough on brakes as well. That's going to be the main key thing for them to look after.
Yeah, and the problem is if he wants to achieve the title, he needs to get into the zone of the risk, I would call it like that. Yeah. So as you mentioned at the motorcycles, there have been some motorcycles doing quite a lot of stunts here. We saw that. It was really amazing.
Yeah, I didn't quite know. Well, there was some bloke climbing on the pit wall with one hand on the handlebars and doing a massive burnout, and then there's a bloke on a quad bike on 2 wheels. It's all a bit crazy, but it's the crazy Italians and we love them, don't we?
Absolutely, and now we're going to see the giants of the road, of course, the trucks, the European Truck Racing Championship. What is so fascinating for you?
I just love the size of them, because even though they are not the usual size of a truck that you would see on the road, they are still a lot bigger than any other vehicles that you do. I was here in June commentating on some small hatchbacks that were racing here, and to see them on the track, they made this place look narrow. These trucks make it look even more narrow. They just really fill the road, but it's the pure speed of these machines and the size of them that goes with it. It really does blow your mind when you see them doing nearly 100 miles an hour down the pit straight. And I mean, even around some of the corners as well. It's scary how fast they are for their size, but the drivers handle it so well. And we still get amazing racing. It's not like it's a parade. Everybody goes for overtakes. There's contact and all sorts, and it's great fun to watch. It's amazing.
Absolutely, and of course in race 2 we got the reverse grid, also a lot of action going on. So you need to go to your commentator position. Where is it? Show me.
I'm just on the exit of the pit lane down this way. There's some white booths down there. I'm going to leg it there now, and I'm going to get sorted, and then I will catch you all on the flip side.
That sounds really great. Thank you very much, Chase. And so we're going to have a look back at, of course, we are in the final weekend right now, but we did have a lot of action in Jarama. Let's have a look. Oh, that was great fun in Jarama. We are here in Misano and we talked about the incident with Jamie Anderson. And this is, of course, why we have a little delay going on here ahead of the first qualifying here. We've got the fans back in the paddock and this is so great to see here in Misano. Just to inform you, Ryan Smith will not be competing this race weekend, but the whole other drivers, they're here and they're ready to prefer. And I'm sorry, I've got Chess record right now on my earplugs, but I know he's in his commentary position right now. That's great. Well, let's have a look at the fans going round here. So we've got a plan of qualifying and, of course, the two races going on. And we also see the pace truck right here and the Ford Voraus truck, as we call them. So, of course, this is very important right now to keep the safety standards here in Misano as well in any other circuit, of course, during this tour. We had a hell of a season, I would call it like this. It was so great to see all the big trucks driving around. And since, Jazz, you are in your commentary position, maybe you give us a little insight. Is there anybody there on the grid?
No, actually, I cannot see anybody here at the moment. It seems like they're all taking this delay quite seriously. As I was running through the paddock, I saw a number of drivers and trucks all just sort of sat around waiting. It's almost like everybody is prepared to get the green light and then send it around the circuit and get ready to line up on the grid. But currently, we do have the delay, as Christina mentioned there, but much better conditions today than we had yesterday at Misano. As I mentioned, I was last here in June when it was, as you can imagine, very, very hot indeed. But this time, well, especially yesterday, it was much, much cooler. There's a very cold wind here at Misano this weekend. But while the sun is out today, it seems like the wind has stayed away for now, and it is not anywhere near as cold this time round. So the track conditions will be very different. There are my two blue beauties, the Iveco pace truck and the Ford F-Max official truck. I was very honoured yesterday to do some laps in the F-Max around this circuit. And we were doing some filming of the Iveco and all sorts. We had all the GoPros on the go, and it was a lot of fun. Frank, the Iveco S-Way driver, really was a star. We've got fans of all ages here this weekend as well. It was great to, even though it was a sprint through the paddock, it was great to come through the paddock and see all of the wonderful fans that we have out here this weekend to cheer on their favourite drivers. But Christina is back down there now with, with something of an update for us at least.
The final wicket here at Misano. What are your plans?
I hope to win. It'll be a hard weekend. Everyone's fighting. The positions 2 and 3 are really close. 4 and 5 are really close. 6 and 7 same points, and then from 8 until 11 it can all change. So it'll definitely be exciting.
Absolutely. You're fighting with Antonio Albacete, of course. And what do you hope this weekend is going to be like? Which position would you like to have?
Always the top 5 is the goal for the season. I think we've secured the 5th position in the championship, which is our aim at the start of the season, because we're a small team with a small budget. So from this side, it's a nice feeling. But if we can hold on to the 4th position in the championship, I will be very, very happy. So
we see everyone is going around here, of course, to the 20 minutes delay. You seem to be all very calm. Well, it's going to be, the action is going to be happening.
I think it's going to be chaos. It's going to be carnage. So yeah, it's qualifying. Okay, we did the warm-ups. So this is like shakedown for the quali. So there's not a lot of, well, there shouldn't be any damage. So qualifying, it's always calm before. And then after the first race, this is when all the hard work starts. So.
Okay. Thank you very much, and of course, good luck. Thank you very much, Tim Frost, for his very spontaneous interview.
Thank you very much, Christina. An absolute star this year of getting these interviews together and sorting them all out and getting everybody in check. It's great to finally meet Christina and the crew in person this weekend and be here at Misano. And of course, it's great for the fans as well. And speaking of interviews, as I just mentioned there, we actually have Shane Brayton.
Yes, and he's competing for the Goodyear Cup title this weekend here in Misano. Shane Brayton, good to see you. How happy are you to finally get going, finally competing for the top?
Yeah, I'm very pleased to be in the position I'm in. I'm looking forward to today and tomorrow. Just hope we have good pace.
And what is important to keep good speed here in the difficult track in Misano?
I've only raced here once. I found it a struggle in quali, but in practice. But we've settled down, so I think we just got to keep driving and stay out of trouble and see how the day pans out, really. But it feels good so far.
And be hard on the brakes.
Yeah, I think it will be. Yeah, but I think this will suit our truck, this track.
Anything that, I mean, you're in your concentration phase, of course, you as a driver, and the 20 minutes delay of qualifying, how do you cope with that?
You just got to cope with it. Maybe an extra cup of tea.
This is a bit British, but a cup of tea sounds very good. Thank you very much, Shane Brayton.
Thank you very much. Bye.
So a cup of tea it is, maybe. Chaz, do you need a cup of tea as well?
Oh, at the moment, I've got a wonderful bottle of water with me, keeping me nice and cool here right now. Over in the commentary box, I'm actually grateful enough to have some aircon with me at the moment, which is very, very nice. I remember such great aircon from last time I was here, and it's nice to see that they are still, even at this time of year, still putting it to good use. But you can see Marshall's all waiting around patiently as well, having a good chat. That's a hell of a flex there on that left leg, Sunshine. But even so, everyone is in position and ready. So hopefully the delay will be not much longer. But already, Christina's grabbed us another interview. She's on fire today.
Yes, absolutely on fire, and he's on fire as well. Sven Walter, team chef of Don't Touch Racing. We've got a little delay going on. Anything that bothers you?
Die 10 Minuten Verspätung ist für uns kein Problem. Ich denke mal, dass wir noch ein bisschen jetzt chillen können, die 10 Minuten, damit wir das halt rumkriegen und dann für das Qualifying tiefenentspannt sind. Erwartungshaltung wird irgendwo zwischen Platz 5 und 7 sein. Und ich denke mal, dass wir am Ende des Tages wieder vielleicht noch einen Podiumsplatz abgreifen.
Everyone is so relaxed, and he said as well, we've got 10 minutes time, we need to chill a bit and just keep it cool, he said. And they're trying to aim for the 5th rank. Er said, welche Platzierung wolltet ihr nochmal? Welche?
Wir wollen ungefähr so zwischen Platz 5 und 7.
Okay. In between 5th and 7th position, this is their goal for the qualifying. The track is very special, we talked about it. Dieser Racetrack ist natürlich total speziell, irgendwie hat seine Eigenheiten. Wie geht ihr sie an?
Indem wir das richtige Setup hoffentlich gefunden haben. Der andere ist jetzt hier schon 4 oder 5 Mal auf der Strecke gefahren, 2-mal im Iveco. Vorher die anderen 2-3 Mal ist er mit dem Mercedes gefahren, in dem vorigen Team. Und ich denke mal, dass wir ein gutes Setup gefunden haben. Und die Wahrheit wird leider nach dem Qualifying erst bekannt gegeben.
So they hope they find the right setup. He said Andre, of course, was competing here in his Iveco and his Mercedes, he said. So he's really, really aware of the track's speciality. So they're really optimistic. Es ist natürlich das letzte Wochenende, ne? Was erhofft ihr euch komplett von diesem Wochenende? Was sind so die Ziele, um hier durchzukommen?
Das Ziel für dieses Wochenende sind 29 Punkte und am Sonntagabend auf Platz 6 die Saison abzuschließen.
Dankeschön. Thank you very much. So they're aiming for 29 points this weekend, and they're trying to be in the 6th position after this weekend competing. And now we see the truck that is ready to go, I think. Yes, they are. So, Chess, I think you will have some good company in a couple of seconds.
Yes, indeed. Actually, Norbert Kish just made his way down, and there he is, going down to the end of the pit lane, very, very slowly indeed. The trucks get basically held at the end of the pit lane here at Misano before making their way out onto the circuit. We've got a fantastic camera position down there, but here's the man with all of the work to do this weekend. Truck number 41 needs to reverse his digits and get 14 points. That's all he needs to clinch the championship in even the first race of the day. So there's plenty that can be done by Norbert. But to be fair, it's not going to be too much of a difficult job as long as he keeps his rivals behind him. We've got more trucks coming out onto the circuit now, just going past the pit lane. As you can see, the wonderful scenery here at Misano as well. It's a circuit with plenty of fantastic views. It's a very, very pretty circuit as well, very well maintained. We were having to avoid all the groundskeepers and all sorts in the official trucks yesterday, as they were all pruning the grass, making sure everything was in tip-top condition. And as you can see by the huge banner there, all of these trucks are powered by 100% renewable HVO diesel. Sasha Lenz has just made his way past me now, so too Adam Latchko as well. Fantastic to have right outside of my window. Antonio Alberthetti coming through as well. You could probably hear them, to be fair. They vibrate my headset as they come past the window here. They're very close in front of me. It's awesome to see. And there is the run down to the hairpin at the long straight, the back straight here. It's a very, very difficult track, as me and Christina mentioned before. There is a lot of start-stop sections. Teo Calve just makes his way out in front of me now as well. And don't forget that Teo Calve has to work very hard indeed to make sure that he catches up to Shane Brayton in the championship. There's a lot that needs to be done. So this circuit, 16 corners in total. There's a chicane at the start of the lap, but with the shortened layout that we're using here in the European Truck Racing Championship, we will have, I believe, just 14 corners. They have where turn 12 is here at Misano, the right kink. We are basically using a shortened layout down there. Although actually, to be fair, I think we still have the 16. It's just that turn 14 will be a bit shorter up, actually. I'm just consulting the track map now just to see where it gets shortened, and to be fair, yeah, we will still have 16 corners, but the truck's all ready now to make their way out. Obviously, this is the qualifying session, which will precede Super Pole. So qualifying, for those of you that don't know, we'll see everybody out on track together. And then once we have a top 10 established, they will then go through to the Super Pole session, which will then sort of reorder the top 10 as such. So it's Norbert Kish at the front of the queue from Sasha Lenz and Adam Latchko, the two chasing him in the championship. Then it's Antonio Alberthetti, Jochen Hahn, Andre Kurzim, Steffi Halm, Teo Calve, and then Shane Brayton just behind him. It's almost like a nervous wait for the drivers to get out on track now. And Jamie Anderson's issue, it seems, was related to power steering problems. And yes, it is. Yes, it is the perfect day to burn some diesel. Some 100% renewable HVO diesel, of course, which powers all of these trucks. The championship having a fantastic initiative to get carbon neutral by 2038 at the latest. So here goes Norbert Kish then, the first driver out on circuit. Good time to mention as well the onboard cameras, which we have further back in the trucks, which are used by Smart Witness, which help any steward's decisions. We have them here this weekend in great force to make sure that everybody behaves themselves and at least keeps an eye on all of the action. They give us a fantastic view of what happens. Lucas Hahn is back with us this weekend, which is great to see. Son of Jochen Hahn, he's in the number 22 Iveco. But as mentioned before by Christina, we will not be seeing Ryan Smith out on track. He was due to be racing in Tom O'Rourke's truck, which was the number 86 that he shared with Luke Garrett this season. Ryan was renumbering the truck to 81 to compete this weekend, but unfortunately has had to withdraw. So there is the championship hopeful Norbert Kish. Sasha Lenz just stepping the back end out there. That is turn 8 that they're going through. Up to the top of the hill, turn 10. There's a little kink to the right, which is turn 9, and then the hairpin to the right is turn 10. And I am not afraid to admit that when I went round there in the official truck, the Ford F-Max, yesterday evening, I fell into the middle of the cabin. I had my seatbelt on, but even still, with how well the trucks handle around corners, I fell into the middle of the cabin. And it was very, very amusing. But still, here is the big run down to the kink at turn 11. They then have another kink at turn 12. And you will see here, if you've ever watched any racing at Misano, you'll notice that there are cones in the middle of the road, which is where turn 13 normally is. They turn to the right a little bit earlier and use this shortened version of the circuit, just to make sure that speed is reduced nice and early. So that is turn 13, and then just going through it now, Kish goes through turns 14 and 15, the quick right-left, for a quick squirt to the final corner. which is Curva Misano at turn 16. And then he makes his way onto the start-finish straight. So the qualifying session well and truly underway now. Then they get onto their fast laps. And they come shooting past the commentary box at the end of the pit lane. And it's a fantastic sight to see them going past at such high speed as they go under the Goodyear branded bridge here. But Norby pushing very hard indeed. Like I've said, he's got the work to do this weekend, but he just needs to score 14 points in that first race, and you can get 20 points for a race win. So if he could get pole position and run away in that first race, he will be crowned champion, because no matter what anybody else can do from that point onwards, they will not be able to stay within scoring of points to outdo him in the standings. René Reiner has just come flying past my window with Lucas Hahn behind him, but look at Sascha Lenz right now, following Norbert Kish very closely, just keeping an eye on what he's doing. Obviously trying to go quicker. He'll be identifying where Norbert has the advantage, trying to see if he can overcome any of the pace that Norby is carrying. You can see the steam coming off them as well as they try and cool the brakes. I had a fantastic look around the interior of Sascha Lenz's, sorry, not Sascha Lenz, apologies, Stefan Faast's truck yesterday. And he was showing me the systems and how they work and how they manage the brakes and the temperatures and all sorts. It was fantastic to see. Really is great to get here this weekend, be here in person and get hands-on with these trucks properly, meet all the drivers and the teams and everyone involved in the broadcast as well. But Sascha Lenz is right with Norbert Kish right now. He was 0.7 of a second quicker in Sector 2, and he was actually a bit quicker in Sector 1 as well, so I'd argue that Norby is not going to take pole initially here. I think Sascha will go a bit quicker. And then, of course, he will back off after this first lap. Norbert will be happy to get through to Super Pole, though, because then he'll do the job at the end. Let's see what times they do. A 2:02.8 from Norbert Kish. Lenz 2:02.1, so 0.7 is the difference. They're almost identical across the line in Sector. Latchko is a second off in third place. Alberthetti goes into third position now, 0.9 off. Jochen Hahn, second fastest. Great stuff by Jochen, reigning champion. Just under 0.3 clear. Steffi Halm goes up to second. Fantastic by Steffi. Theo Calve goes 7th ahead of Andre Kurzim. Shane Brayton goes 9th, 1.9 seconds off. And jumping up there, Anthony Janiak as well. He goes 5th fastest now. So Norbert Kish finds himself 4th at the moment, but that will be enough to go through to Super Pole. That's the important thing to remember here. But there is Norby. It looks to me, no, he's not gone on to another fast lap here. A lot of the faster times were doing sort of 32 to 33 seconds in the first sector. Norbert's first sector was 40.9 seconds. But Sascha Lenz fastest at the moment. Alia Kolok has crossed the line. She at the moment is at the bottom of the pack. Stefan Faast makes it into the top 10 for now. He will be 9th on the grid as things stand, but we all know how quickly that can change. A man that's really on the limit right now is Adam Latchko. There's almost an exact second between 1st and 10th, but Adam Latchko 10th at the moment, right on the brink. We'll need to put in another strong lap here to make sure he goes through to Super Pole. Everybody seems to have backed off after that first lap. They just take a moment to get things back to the right temperatures, recuperate their brakes as well, and get everything lined up for another run. You can pretty much guarantee that Norbert will be happy with that first run at least. But we may see him go for another lap here. Doesn't look like he's coming into the pits. And there's an interesting story for you. Andre Kurzim's lap time has been deleted for track limits. And I said it didn't look like Norbert Kish was coming into the pits. Clearly that was a lie. And in he goes. Keep an eye out to see whether anybody else storms past down the straight and goes onto another lap. But Steffi Halm, that's very impressive by Steffi. Puts herself second fastest, and carrying on is Adam Latchko, as expected. Adam needs to push hard now. Antonio Alberthetti as well. He's down in 8th position. He doesn't want to risk being knocked out.
These two fighting for positions in the championship. They're right up there in the top 5. Listen to the tyres squealing for mercy. Teo Calve has carried on as well. He wants to get into Super Pole. So too Stefan Fass, looking to improve. So it's all the drivers that are really on the brink at the moment that need to get those laps in. Shane Brayton doing the same. He's just gone past me. And Jamie Anderson, so very competitive in the middle of the pack. But we look now at Adam Latchko making his way around the first sector. He's done a 33.2 around there this time round. The fastest first sector that we've had is by Steffi Halm, actually. She did a 32.8, so they're not too far off the pace at the moment. Latchko and Alberthetti doing a 33.0 in the first sector. So we keep our eye on Latchko in this wonderful Freightliner. Look how close he gets to the penalty markers there on the exit of turn 8. Very, very close indeed. And don't forget, if they do hit those penalty markers, that's basically a black and white way of finding out that they've overdone it on the track limits. And they will eventually get a penalty, or at least have lap times disallowed. Latchko then into the final sector now, hard onto the brakes into turn 13. Hard on the brakes again, start-stop into turn 14. Then the left-hander at 15. Floors it down the small straight towards 16, curve of Misano. And then on to the power once again down the straight. Does he improve his time? He does. He goes to 5th fastest. Just under 7/10 of a second off Alberthetti. Improves his time as well, a 2:02.889 for Antonio. Stefan Fass did not improve his time. And I don't think Jamie Anderson did either, to be fair. Oh, he did actually, 2:03.3. He's just come across the line now. It was Teo Calve that was looking to improve, but he's done a 2:20, so I think he's actually come into the pits now. Either that or he made a mess on his lap and had to slow it down. Kurzin puts a lap in and goes 12th fastest, I can tell you that for free. 2:03.462, but he is not going to get into Super Pole with that sort of time. Janiak now down to 9th position. Norbert Kish down to 6th. It's still Lenz from Halm and Hahn. And Lucas Hahn. Lucas Hahn, 4th fastest. He's just putting an absolute blinder of a lap. Actually, that was on his second lap. However, I'm really sorry, but I hadn't noticed that until now. Lucas Hahn, take a bow, son. What a lap time that is. So at the moment, it's the two Hahns on the second row of the grid. It might not be that way after Super Pole, but wow, that's awesome stuff from Lucas Hahn. It's very close as well between the top 3, just less than 0.3 of a second between them. And Lucas is nearly another 0.3 back, but still, he's ahead of Adam Latchko, Norbert Kish, and Antonio Alberthetti, drivers that are right up there in the championship. He can be very, very pleased with that one. Lucas is one of the few drivers I've not met yet this weekend. And there is a deletion of a lap time for number 29, Alia Kolok. After abusing the track limits. Adam Latchko there showing you how to abuse track limits, but just trying to get out of the way and keep things safe. Now there's a truck flying down the straight in front of me. It's Stefan Fass. He's going for another lap here because he is 10th at the moment. He wants to improve and get away from anybody behind, make sure he's not a threat, and that is why, because Jamie Anderson has just gone 10th fastest. Jamie 9/10 of a second off. Only 0.07 of a second quicker than Stefan Fass. So Anderson absolutely pushing it. We've had Anthony Janiak as well have a lap time deleted because of a corner marker. Got more and more of them coming across the line now. No improvements as such. Brayton's just gone back out on track. Here is Jamie Anderson. He had a lot of trouble down here at turn 8. Previously, you can see him wiggling the truck around. He's moving it about to try and figure out what's going on. Maybe a steering issue continually going on for them. We've also had Jamie Anderson have a lap time cancelled because of a track limit infringement. There is a lot of runoff area here at Misano, so these drivers can push the limits a little bit and try and get away with it. But as we've seen, the penalty markers that we use here in the FIA European Truck Racing Championship, very, very important, because some drivers can argue the case that, you know, I may have been close to the limit, but I didn't have a wheel off the circuit and so on. And if you do have track limits cameras, it can be a bit hard to decipher sometimes. But when there's just a solid marker that they hit and that's it, you definitely know that they were outside of track limits. And I think it's a really good system to have in place, because these trucks, you know, they don't really get affected by objects of that size. So you can get away with it in truck racing. Still, we watched Jamie Anderson make his way around the end of the lap now. I think he knew that his current lap was deleted, so he's backed off. Maybe to give it another go. Still just over 6 minutes of the session left to go. We've had a few drivers have a little bit of a moment here and there. Anderson went a little bit wide at turn 8 earlier. Alberthetti's had a moment as well. But he's pushing hard. He's 7th at the moment. Alberthetti's actually come into the pits now. You can see him there just behind the bright neon yellow truck of Janiak. So we've got Kish, Reiner, Lenz, Janiak, Alberthetti, Halm, Latchko, Lucas Hahn, all in the pits. So everybody that's 1st to 9th at the moment is in the pit lane. A number of drivers coming across the line. Andrei Kurzim trying to improve. Janiak just gone back out on track, actually, in the Lion Truck Racing machine. But here now, Jamie Anderson pushing hard to work it out and get an improved lap time. Alia Kolok is still out there pushing as well. Brayton has crossed the line to start his lap. He's down in 14th place at the moment, it's Shane. But, quite importantly, Teo Calve isn't too far ahead of him. Teo is only in 13th place himself. So there's not too much daylight between those two, and neither of them going through to Super Pole by the look of it at the moment. Pretty sure Teo's still out there now trying to improve. Yeah, he is. He's just gone through the first sector, actually, so I think he's just either ahead or behind Kolok and Brayton. Maybe just ahead by the look of it. There's Janiak and Kurzim staying out of the way on the left-hand side. Janiak moving the truck around left and right just to try and check the steering, make sure everything is working as intended, ready for a fast lap. Still 4 minutes 20 seconds to go. But we have most of the field sat in the pit lane at the moment. Great lap that is, though, by Sasha Lenz. Fantastic by Steffi Halm. Stefan Faas goes past again to start another lap. His best at the moment is a 2:03.1. Pole position is a 2:02.1, so it's incredibly close around here. Over 2 minutes a lap, and still they're barely separated by a second. The whole field separated by 3.7 seconds. As Jamie Anderson has just crossed the line and gone to 8th place. Just about in front of René Reiner. That puts Janiak now down in 10th, but Anderson will be a lot more comfortable with 8th place. So a little bit further inside the top 10. There'd have to be some very, very stiff competition come up now, but Calve and Brayton can both come up. Andrei Kurzim can come up. Stefan Faas as well. It's got closer and closer as the season has gone on, so anybody outside the top 10 right now could spoil the party for those guys that are currently in it. As Teo Calve crossing the line, can he get himself into the top 10? Doesn't look like it. 2:03.4 is his best, although his last lap was 2.5 minutes. Now Norbert Kish has felt the need to come back out. That's interesting. We've not seen this from Norby this season. Anthony Janiak still circulating as well in 10th position. There is 3 thousandths of a second between René Reiner and Anthony Janiak right now. Incredible. Very, very close indeed between those two and Jamie Anderson. Here's Stefan Fast in the Scania, making his way round to the corner. I said to him yesterday that the engine is so clean on that truck and all of the back end of it is so well prepared, and he just looked at me and just said, Scania. He just nodded his head and said, it's a Scania. They're incredibly proud of their trucks and all the teams work incredibly hard on them. Let's see if Stefan Fast can get himself into the top 10. No, he does a 203.3 compared to his best of a 203.1, but he's still pushing hard. He's still trying to get those laps in the Tank Pool 24 truck. Great livery on that machine. It's a shame how his season started with the humongous off at the Nürburgring. We watch him now through the first sector. You can see the trucks really dance about, much like any sort of touring car or GT car that you might have watched before. They really move around midway through the corner, and importantly, Jamie Anderson's best lap time will be deleted because of repeat track limit infringements. So Jamie Anderson has had the book thrown at him, unfortunately. And for now, he remains in 8th position, but I think that may change. So Stefan Fast coming to the latter stages of the lap now, using all of the road there. Norbert Kish has just gone past me with Shane Brayton right behind him, going on to another lap. Stefan Fast showing you how quickly these trucks go around that final sector there. It's so close today. It really is. Everybody pulling out all the stops for this final race meeting of the season. Don't forget, this is the first of 2 qualifying sessions that we have this weekend. This is qualifying 1 for race 1. Race 2's grid will be determined by the finishing result with the top 8 reversed. And of course, we still have Super Pole to go, so the top 10 will then go back out after this session to work their magic. Look how close Stefan Fast gets to the track limits markers there, or the penalty markers, I should say. Goes across the line. Does he improve? Alia Kolok's lap time gets deleted. And Stefan Fast again, a 203.4. He just cannot improve, unfortunately. And Norbert Kish has sort of aborted his lap there as the session has come to an end. And it looks like Sascha Lenz is the man to beat at the moment. Doing an incredible job in the championship. Doing an incredible job in this qualifying session. So Norbert now just taking his time to get back to the pits, and then the team will prepare the truck for Super Pole in just a few minutes' time. Well, the real surprises in that one, and the real pleasant surprises for us, Steffi Halm, fantastic second place. She'll have to repeat that though to make sure that she starts there on the grid. We've got 3 Ivecos in the top 4 and only 1 MAN. Usually we have quite the domination of MAN trucks, I must admit. But we have the MAN of Sascha Lenz, then 3 Ivecos, Steffi Halm, Jochen Hahn, and then Lucas Hahn. And then Adam Latchko, truck 55, P5. He's been in P5 quite a lot this season, actually, as Adam, sticking with the alliteration of his number. But still, everybody pushing so hard to get into that top 10. And as you see there, Jamie Anderson now down to 10th place with his best time of a 203.060. So he will stay there. The real surprises for me are Theo Calvé and Shane Brayton. Theo Calvé down in 13th place, Shane Brayton in 14th out of the 15 trucks that we have here this weekend. So those two not having an ideal start to their weekend. They'll have a lot of work to do in the Goodyear Cup, especially with the incredible pace of Lucas Hahn. They've really unlocked that Iveco this weekend by the look of it. Iveco had a launch event yesterday, I believe. There was a number of Iveco trucks in the paddock at the far end. But Jochen Hahn and Lucas Hahn, fantastic for them. Steffi Halm, great effort for her as well. She's had a very up and down season. She's grabbed a couple of podiums here and there, though. She's been pushing very hard indeed. There you can see our flag marshal on board with Norbert Kish down the, well, what looks like a very empty pit lane. It's a very big pit lane here at Misano. Great place to be. Sascha Lenz has just made his way past me at the end of the pit lane. Some of these guys might go straight through to go back out for Super Pole. Steffi Halm going past, then Jochen Hahn. And then I expect to see Lucas Hahn behind if they're sticking to the order. Yep, he has just come through as well. I love the number 22 and the number 1 truck. They both look absolutely awesome in that white and blue livery. A lot of the Ivecos sharing a livery. Andre Kurzim and Steffi Halm sharing very similar looking livery. But they just have their own individual colours. There you can see everybody now queuing up at the end of the pit lane. Interesting to see the difference on the front of the Ivecos between Jochen Hahn and Lucas Hahn, actually. There's a grille in the middle of Jochen Hahn's badge there, and then on Lucas's that seems closed. It's very interesting. Something I hadn't noticed before. And there is the potential champion, Norbert Kish. Truck 41, the Hungarian, has had such an amazing season. Some 10 race wins to his name, and a bucket load of podiums. He's been very exciting to watch, fighting his way through the field. When he's had to do that from reverse grid, he's often been at the very front of the grid though. And I look forward to seeing what he can do with his truck today, especially if he doesn't start from the very front of the grid as well. It's certainly going to be an eye-opener for us all to see what pace he can extract out of it. As you see though, conditions remain to be nice and hot here at Misano. It's a beautiful blue sky, as you'd expect, even at this time of year in this region of Italy. And the green flag ready to be waved for Sascha Lenz at the front. And there you go. Sascha gets things moving, and the trucks are out on the track now for Super Pole, and a 10-minute session for us to enjoy. You can see the tiny grid slots there for the motorbikes, not quite being adhered to by the trucks. It's not something you can really fit in there, is it? Let's face it. There's Alberthetti. Rennie Reiner going out on track as well. Now it's interesting, I think, because some of the times that have been deleted, we've got a very intriguing list of drivers out there for this session, although I think some of them not quite out yet. Janiek's just gone out of the pit lane too. And Jamie Anderson. It did say that Alia Kolok had come out on track, but I think she qualified 15th, so I was a bit confused there for a second. But they do cross one of the beams to exit the pit lane before they actually get to the very end of the pit lane, so I think maybe her truck, when she went into the paddock, has triggered that beam, and our timing screen thought she was coming out. But just to go through the list then, we have Sascha Lenz, Steffi Halm, Jochen Hahn, Lucas Hahn, Adam Latchko, Norbert Kish, Antonio Alberthetti, Rennie Reiner, Anthony Janiek and Jamie Anderson, who will be competing for pole position. All of them go out on track together. They don't get a limit to how many laps they can do. They can squeeze as many laps as they want out of this 10-minute session, and it looks like Sascha Lenz, if I can get the words out properly, is wasting no time at all in getting up to speed, getting everything up to temperature, and cracking on with the job at hand, because let's not forget his truck was sat in the pit lane for quite a while once he'd completed the lap necessary to go fastest in the first qualifying. And now he uses all of the road to get it ready to go flat out around Misano. The drivers were saying it's a very slippery surface here at Misano, as I mentioned earlier. With it being a motorcycling circuit, usually it doesn't get rubbered in as much between race meetings, so it's still very slippery for them all. It's a very challenging track. Sascha Lenz flies down the end of the straight, then Steffi Halm just behind. And then following them in a moment we should have Jochen Hahn. Lucas Hahn with him as well. And very quickly, while the drivers get their first laps in, we'll go down to Christina, sorry.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. Very quick check with Csaba Bako. So, did you have a little problem, or is everything okay with the truck?
Yeah, exactly. We have a bit of a technical difficulty in the first part of the qualification, but luckily we were able to solve it. So now, fingers crossed, and hopefully we will be in pole position.
Yeah, that sounds great, because it should be the 7th pole position in a row right now you're fighting for. And of course the championship. How confident are you ahead of this weekend?
Well, I can say that we are really stressed. The whole team is really stressed, even though it's a good position we are in. We have a pretty solid advantage, I mean, in the points from the others. But still, we are really stressed and really focused and try to do our best for winning.
Thank you very much for the interview. Thank you. Keep our fingers crossed. So this is really great to see. And back to you, Chaz.
Interesting to see the challenge that they're facing this weekend. So it's not all straightforward, and to be fair, I was quite surprised not to see Norbert Kish fastest in that first session. We're so used to him being the fastest out there at the moment, or at least this season. But Sascha Lenz did an amazing job in that first session. Let's see if he can beat that time here. Almost half of the session is already gone. Let's not forget how long a lap it is here at Misano. So the session really doesn't last long for these guys. They can maybe get 3 laps in, if that. Sascha Lenz powers his way down the straight, then puts the first time in of the session. It's a 2:01.835. Steffi Halm gets to the line. She's a second off at the moment at 2:02.8. So nothing like her pace in the previous session. Jochen Hahn comes to the line. There's Lucas Hahn in the background skimming the penalty marker. Jochen Hahn goes second. 1.5 tenths off, well, just less than 1.5 tenths off the pulse. There's a Lucas Hahn 1.3 seconds off. Adam Latchko crossed the line and is 1.3 off as well. Norbert Kish, what can he do? And he goes fastest, just over 3/4 of a second, a 2:01.5. Puts Sascha Lenz down to second. Alberthetti goes 4th. René Reiner goes into 6th position with a 1.4 second slower time. The time he did was a 2:02.9. That's still very quick. Janiak using all of the road down to the straight, staying in a straight line. And he does a 2:03.2. And he is 8th place at the moment. Jamie Anderson, some 6 seconds off. He's having a bit of an installation lap on the way out by the look of it. But that's a real shame for Steffi Halm, because she looked so fast in that first session. But as you can see, there is a big difference. The top 3 doing an amazing job there. Kish, Lenz, then Hahn. 4/10 of a second between the 3 of them. But then there's another 8/10 back to everybody else. Alberthetti just ahead of Steffi Halm. René Reiner another 1/10.5 back. And then same again for Lucas Hahn. 8/800ths of a second between him and Janiak. And then 3/1000ths between Janiak and Latchko. But Latchko will want to be much higher than 9th place, because he needs to be right near the front to try and challenge for the championship. I will repeat myself, as I often do here in the commentary box, but Norbert Kish only needs to get 14 points in the first race of the weekend before anybody can then no longer mathematically challenge him for the title. As long as he gets 14 points, you get 20 for a race win. So he could very well do the job in the first race and claim the title, meaning it would be gloves off for the rest of the weekend. We have the awards dinner not far down the road here in Misano on the Sunday evening, after the final race of the weekend. Sascha Lenz and Steffi Halm getting back up to speed then. hard onto the brakes in turn 1. Look at the nose of the truck really dip down and wiggle around as he tries to keep it stable. Through turns 1, then 2, gets it set up nicely for the long right-hander at turn 3. You can hear the back end trying to step out on the truck. Then you've got the very tricky turns 4, 5 and 6. First right-hander, turn 4, another 90-degree right, turn 5, use the curb on the inside. There's a little bit of a dip in turn 5, and turn 6, the left-hander really gets going then for the back straight. Long kink is classed as a corner, that's turn 7. And then hard onto the brakes into turn 8. Back up the hill again. Important to get on the power nicely there, not let the back end step out and kick out the penalty markers on the left-hand side of the road. Still only 2 minutes of the session to go now, so anybody that crosses the line now, this will be their final lap. Some of them may go for one more lap. We'll have to wait and see. You can hear the circuit commentary going on as well. Fantastic circuit commentary and great facilities here at Misano. It's a wonderful track to visit. If you ever do get the chance to come here, I really urge you to, in times hopefully where COVID is more at bay and things get easier and easier. Sasha Lenz really working hard at the moment. Let's see what the sector times are like. So the 32.9, he's matched Norbert Kish's sector 1. It's very close to the fastest time, and he's done the best sector 2 out of anyone as well. Sasha Lenz, a 47.111. See what he does when he crosses the line. Where does it put him overall? He improves. It's a 201.7 for Sasha Lenz, but not enough to overtake Norbert Kish and take pole position. Jochen Hahn remains 3rd. Steffi Halm did not improve on her time. She did a 203.0. Her best was a 202.8. Can Jochen Hahn go further up the order? No, he can't, not by the look of it. Lucas Hahn, no improvement from him either. Adam Latchko, he needs it. He goes up to 7th place. 13 thousandths of a second off Rene Reiner. Norbert Kish has crossed the line. No improvement from him either. It was a 201.8 though. That's faster than everybody except Sasha Lenz. So even if that was his best lap, he would still only be 2nd on the grid. More improvements from further down the order, I think. And no, actually, looks like Latchko's the only one to improve so far. A number of other drivers coming across the line now. Zhaniak just crossed the line as well in front of me. And I believe that will be it. The checkered flag is out. I don't think that we'll have any more improvements. Just checking to see if anybody is putting any fast first sectors in. Looks like Alberthetti might have been going for one. Just looking down the times just to compare the sector times, but it seems like Norbert Kish had the best sector 1 and sector 3 times. But Sasha Lenz on that final lap set the fastest sector 2 out of anybody. Looks like Jamie Anderson is still pushing hard though. 2.3 seconds off at the moment, plagued by issues this morning. And in practice, here's something that went on. Oh, now. What was that? The side of Jochen Hahn's truck. It didn't look like there was contact, but oh no, I think Anderson might have been held up slightly by Steffi Halm there. Steffi maybe not expecting him to still be on a fast lap. It would have been very late for him to cross the line. But Jamie round the final corner. See whether he improves on his sector times. Looks about the same. His best is a 203.8. There he is taking the checkered flag. It is an improvement to a 2:03.5, but it still means that he will be 10th on the grid. So there you have it then. Norbert takes another pole position in a phenomenal run of pole positions this season. It looked like it wouldn't have been so easy to begin with. Looked like he had some real challenges for a moment there. But unfortunately for everybody else, when it comes to it, he managed to stay at the top. Sascha Lenz there, second place, 0.2 of a second back. Then it'll be Jochen Hahn and Antonio Albacete, the old boys as they called each other at Le Mans, on the second row of the grid. Then it's Steffi Halm and René Reiner. Adam Latchko will be 7th. He needs to do some very hard work in the first race of the day. Lucas Hahn, 8th place, the highest placed chrome rated driver in the Goodyear Cup, so well done to Lucas Hahn. Anthony Janiak qualifies in 9th place in truck 66 with a 2:03.2, and then Jamie Anderson rounds out the grid. And as you see there, a little reminder that all of these trucks run on 100% renewable HVO diesel, so it's a very green and very clean championship. There is a black smoke rule, which means that if the trucks do start emitting black smoke, then they will be pulled in for not quite a technical check, but just a once-over to make sure that everything is as it should be. And if the black smoke persists, then they will be told to end their race, effectively. They'll be pulled in and given a slap on the wrist and told, nope, we don't want any of that black smoke here, please. But that was a real session of two halves there. Norbert Kish looking like he was on the back foot to begin with. Sascha Lenz, fantastic pace all the way through, but Norby ultimately would hold on to that. Well, Jochen Hahn still challenging near the top of the pile. But having to sit in third for now and wait for the guys ahead of him to really set the pace. Still, we know how much of a challenger he can be. He's a 6-time champion for a reason. And there, I believe, is Christina on her way down to try and speak to Norbert Kish. And that 2:01.5 is a very impressive lap indeed by Team Titan, who have wrapped up the Teams Championship. They did a little photo shoot yesterday, and I'm sure you would have seen. I interviewed the two of them, and Christina's going to do the same now and speak to Norbert Kish.
Yes, and he jumped off his track. Norbert Kish, good to see your final race weekend, the decisive race weekend. You need 14 points in your first race. How was the qualifying to the pole?
It was good. The first part was a little bit tricky because we had a problem with the GPS and my top speed was only 154 or something like that. So we lost, but yeah, okay, we made it through on 6th place. And then we fixed the GPS quickly. So in the Super Pole, everything was working quite nice. So yeah, my lap wasn't the best, but it was good enough for pole position. So yeah, I'm happy.
But the team is also nervous. I talked to Shaba Bako. They're quite excited. How do you keep calm and cool?
Yeah, you know, it's not really a problem, you know, because yeah, we have a lot of points advantage, you know. So as you would say in the tennis, we have 4 match points, let's say that. And yeah, so, you know, we are really, really close. But, you know, things like this, like technical problems, like the GPS and whatever, we can lose it, of course. So we have to be, you know, concentrated and try to do the best we can. And this is what we try to do, like what we did in the previous weekends, you know, to try to get the pole position, try to have a good start, win the first race, and if we can do that, then we can close it. And yeah, that would be nice, but you never know what happens. So yeah, we are just concentrating on what we need to do.
Of course. Thank you very much. Norbert Kish, currently leader of the pack, of course, fighting for the title of the FIA European Championship.
Yeah, he certainly has some work to do to hold it this weekend, but still, that is the best way to start said weekend. He's just checking the tyre temps there very manually with just a touch of the hand. You can hear this unbelievable whistling noise. I'd love to be able to tell you where that's coming from. You can see as well the water on the brakes of these trucks that runs out when they park them up. I was talking to Stefan Faas yesterday about the brake bias on these machines. A lot of the bias going towards the front. The front brake's really the main component that they lean on in these machines. Usually having 70% brake bias at the front, 30 at the back. Of course, 4 wheels on the rear axle of these trucks, so a lot of traction. Norbert Kish, pole position then, once again in a fantastic season for him. It's been really amazing to watch. Sascha Lenz right behind him as always. Jochen Hahn will line up on the second row of the grid with Antonio Albacete. Steffi Halm and René Reiner will be on the third row, ahead of Adam Latchko and Lucas Hahn. Then it's Anthony Janiak and the Brit, Jamie, is rounding out our top 10. Behind them, though, it was quite a surprise as we saw the grid finished off by Stefan Faas, Andre Kurzim, Theo Calve, Shane Brayton and Alia Kolok. Those guys will all have a lot of work to do in the first race of the weekend, but we head very quickly back down to Christina.
And I'm here with Lucas Hahn, ranked 8th after Super Pole. Are you happy with the position?
Yeah, I'm very happy with the position. It was my first time on this track here in Italy, Misano, and I'm really happy to be in the Super Pole, and I'm on the 8th position, and we will see what the race is bringing, and that's really cool to be here. Yeah.
What was the tricky part of the track?
The tricky part, I couldn't say there's a lot of tricky parts, but yeah, if you don't get the 8-pack for the corner, you lose a lot of time, and yeah, it's like on every other track you have some corners where it's a little bit more tricky, but here I have a very good feeling on this track, and that's nice.
Sounds good. Thank you very much, Lucas Hahn.
Yeah, it was fantastic to see Lucas doing so well in the first qualifying session of the day, ending up 4th place, just behind his father as well, a father that he's hoping to follow in the footsteps of and be very successful, just like his dad was in truck racing, or still is. You know, Jochen Hahn is certainly not fading away at all. He's a very, very competitive racer, incredible in that Iveco. But it was a real shame not to see Steffi Halm and Lucas Hahn as high up as they were in the first session. They ended up in 5th place and 8th place at the end. But that's all from me, Chaz Draycott, in the commentary booth. I'm in those wonderful grey boxes that you see there just underneath the bridge. I'll be back here for race 1 a little bit later, and I will see you then. But for now, here's the final word from Christina.
As always, thank you very much, Chase. I'm waving to you right now, to you in the commentary booth. So that was the first qualifying of this final decisive weekend here at Misano. We see the team Reves already discussing a lot of things to do ahead of race 1. And I hope you will be back too, watching us live on YouTube or Facebook to tune in for race 1. That's it right now from the qualifying. Bye-bye.